Hello, everybody. What's going on? Boilon here, and welcome back to another video on Marvel Strike Force. Now, today, we do have a very special video, something that I've been wanting to do for quite some time, but I'm kind of waiting for the right moment to both do this and put this out, is that we're going to be doing, since we're towards the end of patch 7.5, I wanted to do an updated version of my tier list. Now, normally I do this every 2 to 3 patches, and the reason for that is because I feel like things don't change enough in one patch to really justify a new list. I was also on holiday for a month, that you guys might know, so now we're finally getting around to this, which will be the end of patch 7.5 going into patch 7.6, and I want to get this updated because I think it's been like I think it was 7.3 that maybe I did my last one. So hopefully this, guys, will get you on the right track if you don't know what you should be building. We're also going to be giving a special nod to Dark Dimension 6 a little bit. I know it's way too early to talk about it, but there's a little things that we do know, especially with regards to the mythic characters, so they are going to be somewhere towards the top of the list on this one. So if you're ready to go, everybody, then let's boil this down. I'm not sure if I really like this maybe, is it too slow? That horizontal swipe thing for my scene changes. It's kind of weird for the intro, I admit. But anyways, so for the beginning of this tier list, I'm actually going to hide my cam box and me, because right at the very bottom, I have this a separate category that I really want to talk about first. We're going to go from the bottom to the top. So basically, we're going from gear 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That's how we're going on this tier list. Now, I do want to give a special nod to the scourges, the old scourges, the horsemen is what I should have said, really labeled it that way. These are teams that were required for the horseman characters, Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, Red Hulk, and Archangel, but as of now, we don't know when they're returning for their permanency, their permanent events, and whether or not it's going to be exactly the same. So I'm putting some of their main teams here as a special nod, but I don't know if they haven't confirmed it's going to be exactly the same. So I don't want to say go out and build these characters if you don't actually need to. But later down the line, of course, because of Apocalypse, you are going to need to have those 4 horsemen. It's just that these characters may be required for you to use for those. And these are the special trait nodes that you would know, like just for the trials as well. So Web Warriors for Morgan Le Fay. You have here Young Avengers for Famine Rogue. You have Wakandans and Bionic Avengers for for Death, actually. But for the purposes of this, I am going to be using Wakandans. I think Bionic Avengers are in the trash bin. I don't think you should be building them. Wakandans, frankly, aren't much better, but I think that they probably edge out Bionic Avengers at this point. And then Ravagers, or like this mixture of minions down here for the Death Scourge, because there is a minion section for that as well. You probably don't need to build them that high, though. Like around gear 12 is probably sufficient, so just keep that in mind. I highly doubt there's going to be any more minion reworks in the future. And then we have Black Widow as part of War, actually, for the Wave 1 Avengers and Hero as Guardians. Now, those Hero as Guardians, there's a lot of good ones, as you guys know. So they're much further up the list that you won't have to really worry about for Red Hulk. Now, so that was, and then now we can put my box back up because we're done that section. So the next section is what I would call miscellaneous or Crucible and War G15-ish. Now, this is just a bare minimum. This is that if you want to, you can go higher. You know, if you're really big into any of these game modes, these are characters that are most valid right now in the meta. Just want to say, and I probably should have said this at the beginning, honestly, most of the characters that are on this list are within the last year or so. I do tend to cut characters off after a certain time because I believe that they're outside of the meta. And as you see already, there's tons of characters in this game that you just can't build everything, right? And so I really have to kind of put my foot down as what is worth building and what's not. And a lot of that actually comes down. Oh, my cam box. I didn't put my cam box back up. Normally that regards to time, right? Just like once it's been a year or so, you just have to kind of move on and kind of think of the things in front of you. So this is Undying, the Undying 3. We have Hela, Zombie Iron Man, and Zombie Juggernaut. We have Electro now. This is a special case because I love Sinister Six, but Electro is best in war, whereas kind of the other members are kind of good with the whole team everywhere. So if you really want, if you're doing Sinister Six and you really want to do a little bit better in war, I think Electro is good to have, but you don't necessarily need her. You're probably going to do a lot of good stuff anyways with the other Superior Six members. So don't be too stressed out about that. We have the new Warriors, of course. We have Cloak, Dagger, Deathpool's a bit further up, Firestar, and Gwenpool. We have the Masters of Evil. At least we have Ultron, Titania, Absorbing Man, and Moonstone down here. Now, I still think If I had to say, honestly, like, you could build these guys higher if you want, everyone on this list. But I would say that personally, I like Masters of Evil a little bit better than New Warriors, but I admit that I'm not up there in Grandmasters of Crucible, so I don't know actually like which one's better up there in that tier, but this is going to be broadly for the average player. And then we also have Nowhere. Now, you might have already seen my video on Nowhere. I personally not a big fan. I honestly think this is skippable, but I'm putting this on here anyways because I know that some people are going to complain about it if I don't. And so they are on here, but I just think that the Nowhere team, I think that if you're going to build a team like Nowhere, just build Sinister Six instead. I think you'll get a lot more dividends out of the newer Sinister Six team that also are good in War and Crucible than just the Nowhere team. But that's just me. Moving up to what I call G16-ish, trial characters and raids. These characters can go above G16 if you wish, but I think that bare minimum that you should probably take them to at least G16. So starting off, we have the Bifrost Mystic Raid team, we have Loki, we have Beta Ray Bill, we have Sylvie and Teen Loki, and we have Vol a little bit higher up. So obviously this is your Mystic Incursion raid team, and I think this is going to be basically it for some time. Why are they at G16 and not higher? Because honestly, they could probably sim. They can sim. I'm telling you, at 2.2, like most of my characters are outside of Sylvie and Vol are G16, and they're not higher than that, and they sim just fine. So they're not super amazing anymore without the Bifrost Crucible season, and so the raid season room. And I don't think you really need to take them up much higher than that. So it's just really min-maxing your gold at this point. We have the new Avengers, all 5 of them, in fact. I still think that if you want to score really high in the Green Goblin trial, you want to have these characters at around G16, I think. That's where, unless you want to reset 100 times, I think it's just safe to have them at G16 to be able to just easily get through the nodes. And they're a pretty good team all around, in my opinion, even outside of War a little bit, but they're a very strong team due to the speed that you get from Ronin. We have the Eternals here. I still strongly believe in the Eternals. I think that they're a great duo, and especially with the Road Ahead, the Road Ahead blog with the Tower mode having a threesome, when you have 3 characters, I think that there's some room to use them in there in the future, and just in general. I think the Eternals are still a very strong duo. With the availability of diamonds, you can pump them up higher. Frankly, once the bottlenecks loosen up, I'm going to take them higher than G16. Actually, I think I have them at G17 now, and 95. So I think that they're very strong characters still, and I wouldn't discount them. Spider-Man 2099, you can go higher than that. I have a G18 2099, but I just want to say bare minimum, I would take him to 16. You're going to always be using him with Spider-Weaver as part of that duo, so just keep that in mind, and having them higher will just keep them relevant for more time. Then we have, out of order apparently, my bad, I need to fix that for next time, but the Rebirth team. So we had Union Jack. Oh wait, sorry, Union Jack is Immortal Invaders. I don't know why. Okay, yeah, they're out of order here. So we have Union Jack, and then the Invaders teams are over here. We have Nick Fury, Bucky, Cap, and Iron Fist. Now, I put them at G16. Why? Because Nick Fury is not a character that you want to take to Dark Dimension 6 anymore. Honestly, I don't think it's worth it, and it's not good. And the Invaders team, while you're still using them, right? Like, but in Incursion 2, they're the last lane. So for most people, you're probably not getting a chance to really use them that much. And that the lower Incursion raids, G16-ish is still enough to get through that. For Incursion 1 or before, you definitely don't need them even that high. Maybe 15, 16 is probably sufficient. So you don't need to take them beyond 16. I think that's fine for that. And eventually there's going to be a new team. And because they're at the end for Incursion 2, I just don't think that you need to really pump them up that much more, knowing that there's going to be something else. Same with Rebirth, honestly. We have Agent Venom here. I was getting confused with my placement. We have Rebirth, and then the rest of the Rebirth is down here. Now, I personally took Captain America to Dark Dimension 6. It's not bad, but I think that it's because I was using Rebirth a lot more, and I am still using Rebirth a little bit. I say that because I'm not doing 60% in my Incursion 2.2 every day right now. Sometimes it's between 30 and 60, so sometimes we just do a mutant and that's it, and I don't really get to the bio section anymore. And I think that for people who are doing lower tier Incursion 2 and anything before that, you probably would be sufficient at G16-ish. Honestly, it's a team that's going to get replaced pretty soon. I would say no later than spring, honestly. So I just wouldn't pump them up higher than G16. I would keep them where they are. And Project Pegasus is for the same reason as Bifrost. Honestly, you don't need them higher because they do what they need to do in their tech raid team, in their tech raid lanes at G16. It's perfectly fine. I would take Kestrel. Obviously, Kestrel is going to be up there, and that's a character that I would take up higher and is probably going to carry. Pegasus, and you just don't really need to really spend too much time building the rest of them higher than G16. That's sufficient there. Spider Slayer should probably have been actually in this section down here alongside Electro. I think the jury's personally still out for me. As of recording this video, I'm not highly convinced that Spider Slayer makes any larger difference yet to the Sinister Six that they can't already do, which is an amazing team. So maybe he'll get bumped up at a later point. But yeah, I don't think you need to build him. I think he is actually skippable. Now we need to talk about the G17, Big Apocalypse, and so a couple of additional miscellaneous characters. I don't really need to talk about this that much. They're all obvious picks here. They're in order to get to Big Apocalypse, you need them all at G17 Blue ISO 5, and that's the Gamma team, that's the Death Seed team, that's Darkhold down here, and Unlimited X-Men. That's 4 teams plus Deathpool, Spider-Weaver, and Kestrel is further up. That's right. So she's in the G18 category because she's that good with her rework. Now, additional characters on this list include Spider-Man Big Time, who, yes, I am still using in my Arena team. Even in the Skrull era, I'm still using him in my Arena team. I'll show you what my Arena offense is just really quickly. So yeah, he still makes value. Now, do you need to have him at 17? No. It's nice to have because he does do additional damage. His survivability is a little bit better, and so he will get a few additional attacks in there. And he's actually a pretty good character overall, in my opinion, as well. So I haven't actually had a bad time having him that high. I don't think you need to take him to G18 right now for Dark Dimension 6 or anything like that. I think there's some better choices now in the City era. But I would take him to at least G17 when you can. Kamala Khan, I don't know why I said that. Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel Hardlight, and Photon. I think that I took them both to G18 as well. But again, because they're the City and Cosmic, I think there's some better options. If you do want to still take Photon, Secret Defenders is an amazing team. They're a Swiss Army knife. They're great in every single game mode, so they're worth at least 17. And I wouldn't fault you for taking them to 18. For Miss Marvel specifically, I think that there's better City characters, and you're better off taking some of the Sinister Six members. For Photon, if you need an extra Cosmic character, by all means, go for it. It's just this is a bare minimum, right? You know, you should bring them up to 17. I think the entire Secret Defenders team, frankly, should be 17 or 18. So it's really up to you when your bottlenecks kind of ease up a little bit to take the rest of them up. Now, this leads us to the top, which is what I call G18 plus Dark Dimension 6, Future 7, and the Arena. And these are some of your best characters in the game right now that I would consider in the game's meta because they're just insane. We don't need any introduction for Skrull and Apocalypse at this point. I mean, I think we know why they're that good. Other characters on this list is Quicksilver for Global Dark Dimension. Both for 6 and 7, frankly. I think that he's still going to make that cut. He is Mystic. He's kind of expensive, but he's definitely worth the build. He's an insane character, great, and you won't regret it personally. Doctor Doom and Dormammu. Yes, they're both miasma characters, but they're both on this list because you will need to take them to Dark Dimension 7 as part of this new mythic trait, which is all of the sort of more unique characters, Dark Dimension characters, things like that. So really you have Apocalypse, who's mythic, Skrull, you have Doom, you have Dormammu, and you actually have Kestrel, who has now been being added to the mythic trait. As far as Dark Dimension, now, and just to say, there isn't 20 plus characters for Dark Dimension necessarily in this list, because I think that you could elevate some of the characters down below to fit that in. Also, again, this is not a Dark Dimension 7 list because there's going to be more characters that obviously come out between now and the time that most free-to-play players get in. So that's not what this is all about. But a lot of these are really important characters you should be bringing to 6 at the very least as well. And for these characters up here, the mythic characters, you should be bringing them up anyways because you are going to need to take them to 7. So you might as well just do it for 6 as well. Vol is Cosmic, insane character, the linchpin of the Bifrost team. Great character for Dark Dimension 6 Cosmic, not Arena meta, but it's very Dark Dimension meta. Kestrel, again, whether it's Dark Dimension 6 Cosmic or Dark Dimension 7 Mythic, you're going to have to do it. Kang, best character on the Masters of Evil. If you're going to build anyone up further, I still think it's Kang. I still think he's worth the investment. I still think he's worth the resources. Ghost Rider Robbie. Now, he's going to be the, I guess, the kind of the lone, other than Black Cat, that I would say really should come to Dark Dimension 6. Whether or not he comes to Dark Dimension 7, that the jury's still out on that one. I think that he's worth it for now for 6 and level 95 and G18. Very strong character. Secret Defenders is insane, so you're going to want to build them up to the moon anyways. It's just that in 6 months' time, he may or may not be on this list still. He's a miasma character, so for that reason, he's probably not going to Dark Dimension 7, and I would opt for other city characters, such as the following, which are the Sinister Six members, because this rework has been insane. As you guys know, I've talked a lot about the Sinister Six, and all the characters that are on this list, in my opinion, are worth building. Yes, even Mysterio, who's a little bit expensive in the tech category, you should take Vulture first. But I love Mysterio. If you've seen any of the content regarding Mysterio, his summons, his minions are insane. They have a lot of hit points. Survivability is insane. His special is insane. Everything's insane about Mysterio. And then we have Lizard and Craven for the superior 6 survivability, because a lot of their traits say you need 2 superior 6 members. So I would take these 2. So if you're taking these 4 into Dark Dimension City, you're going to be able to activate that additional text that comes from the characters who require superior 6 members. Then, of course, we have the Dark Dimension Legendary section, which is Green Goblin, Doc Ock. Yes, I know these 4 is a lot of tech gear, and there's a little bit of tech up here as well. Down in the future for Dark Dimension 7, I would suspect that I would probably take Kang off this list. There's probably going to be better characters in the next 6 months. But for just now, I think that he's still worth building. And Green Goblin and Doc Ock together are just absolutely insane. And then we have Black Cat and Nova, which is 4 legendary characters. It's not 5. I'm leaving that empty spot there for the 4th trial character, which is probably slated, I would say, for February at this point. Not the winter patch, but just after the winter patch is when I would expect that final trial character to come out. And that's going to basically take this extra spot here. And you'll probably want to take Doc Ock. Now, unless there's any other legendary reworks between now and then, maybe things will change and I'll make another tier list, probably sometime in February. I think this is going to be fine for the next 3 months. So that's everything. If you're not sure where you should be going in Marvel Strike Force, what characters that you should be building, I honestly think this covers pretty much all of what you need to have. In fact, some of these characters could actually fall off. Nowhere, for example, I wouldn't build them, but some people might. I don't personally think you need them, and so that's something that I would have cut. And you only need to consider this stuff down here at the bottom in the event that they kind of come around with whatever is going to happen with the permanent event for the Horseman characters. Other than that, don't take any of these characters up higher than you need to, especially when it comes to raid characters. And it depends on what you're doing, right? What raids you're doing with your alliance and how high you need to do it for the content that you're playing at. Don't overbuild a raid team, if you don't need to, because a lot of the times the raid teams actually aren't that good in other game modes. And so for that reason, it's better to put your investment into other characters, in my opinion, such as the ones either in the G18 list up here or in the G17 Big Apocalypse and stuff over in the. So these 2 categories here are the characters that should be taking the most of your investment. So that's the end of this video, everyone. This is going to be shared on my Discord as well. So if you want a copy of this to share with your alliance or with your friends or whoever, then that'll be available to you shortly later on in the evening, probably. So that's going to be the end of this video, everyone. And until next time, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you all later. Boilon signing out.